Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Diederich,
And I'm Sacha Hoedemaker.
and welcome to the Piano Pour Challenge. It's super exciting because even though this isn't going to be the last thing that Sasha and I post, today is pretty much the end of the challenge. It is the 12th of February, and I've been sitting on my piece for a couple of days now, totally excited. I decided this time because of the terrible weather that I didn't think it was a smart idea to drive it all the way to Sasha's this time. So we're going to do it online. And because of the cold temperature, I wasn't able to varnish the piece, but it still looks absolutely beautiful right now. So I'm not so worried about that. Um, but we do have a couple of other surprises that we're going to talk about at the end of the video. We're just going to talk for a little bit and get to the reveal. For those of you that watched our video last time who were saying, wow, it was kind of a long video. Yes, it was a long video. Some people were like really invested in the project and sat and watched all 45 minutes of that reveal that Sasha and I did. And some people were like, I just want to see the painting and hear the song. And we get that. So in the description to this video, we'll make sure that we link an index to saying, hey, this is the reveal of the music and this is the reveal of the painting. So you can see those two things. We do have, as I said, coming up after today, we do have a couple more reveals for you, some interesting things, but we'll talk about that later. So first of all, Sasha,
Yeah.
it's been, we started this on the 25th of January.
With
So we've
here.
been at this for about 2.5 weeks. What was your experience with this
Whew.
project?
Yeah, I mean, I started with the project going in like, okay, let's see what happens. I'm really excited, but I had no idea what to expect, and it turned out that it was so much more. It was so much more fun and inspiring, and it got such a bigger meaning as I was doing it, and I really felt yeah, I felt first of all more connected to you, but also more connected to just art in general, like really think about the choices that I'm making, and I feel that was the most fun, yeah, I've had all year at least.
That's so funny because now it's like, okay, maybe this video isn't going to be so long because you literally took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I know that you like to collaborate a lot anyway, but I think this is a different kind of collaboration because we weren't really like working together and influencing each other in a direct way. We were doing it in a totally indirect way, which was, I think, different than, another musician working together with you on a composition like, oh, what if I play it like this? Or, oh, what do you think about this line? I think that's kind of a different kind of, like a jam vibe.
Right.
And this was a little bit different. I also, yeah, totally feel so much closer. Also, in just analyzing number one, who you are, what I already know about you, already made me feel closer to you, and then getting this gift of music of, hey, this is how you sound to me was amazing. Heart explosion moment, just so fantastic. And yeah, feeling what art is. So I'm also going to encourage people, and it's already happened, to I'm already excited to do the next one. And hopefully, I've noticed that some of my friends have now been following you, and some of these great musicians have now been following me. And I see people on Instagram, oh God, what a great idea. I love it. And I'm like, yeah, I think your next sentence is, I challenge you to the same thing,
Right.
Don't take some initiative, people, because I would love to do this again, and even more excited to like, I, I think, like I said, I think there's an advantage and a disadvantage of doing it with someone and I think that there's
Mhm.
going to come a whole new factor if I have to do this with someone who like, well, all I know about this person is that they follow Sasha on Instagram, and
Right.
that's it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I think that'll be interesting. So the next thing is a lot of people commented. Oh, sorry, going to inspiration. So a friend of mine, Sabrina, she said watching this inspired her to become creative again, and she's like, I decided I'm going to start writing again, and oh, I just love this idea, and that inspired me to say, hey, we came together and I said, hey, I have this idea, the piano pour challenge, but I said, there's nothing that says it has to be these two disciplines.
Right.
I said to her, it's like, you've got a friend who, she's a costume designer. I said, have her sew a costume for a character that does not exist, a dress or a ratty old jacket or some hat. And I said, and then you write a, descriptive chapter of a book that describes a character. And in that, it kind of describes their social status and lightly what they wear, and give that to each other. And then I said, you write a completely different story based on that piece, like who would wear that piece, and design a whole character around that. And then your friend will go, you've written me this story. If they were to turn this into the movie and I was the costume designer, what would I make? I think you can do this with, electronic music. I think you can do it with sculpture, creative writing,
Exactly.
and improv scenes. I think any creative venture you can do this with. So it doesn't have to be piano pour. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping to see that more people do stuff like this.
It's really, it's teaching and learning at the same time, and it's just it's personal development. Like it's
Yeah.
really I think it's such a great idea, that you should turn into a business, Michael. No, but it's really yeah, it's really it's inspired me, so for sure.
I'm glad to hear that. That was the first function. It's funny you did say that. It's my thing always is, and I think that's the reason why I'm doing financially so poor right now, is that I just don't think business
Right.
wise. I'm creative and I want to do that. And I did think about that. It's like, how could I monetize
Hmm.
this? But that's definitely not my
No.
first thought. But who knows? Maybe in the future, because I think especially with painters and composers. I think even like the piano paint challenge, I was thinking about even changing the name, because then it opens it up to oils, watercolors,
Right.
aquarels,
Yeah.
uh, you know, uh, and then maybe even not even calling it a piano, but it's like there's something about the alliteration. It's more about composition and painting.
Right.
But
Yeah.
what's in a name, right? I can call it piano and go, great, compose something on the violin, and there's no penalty or anything, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I am going to think about that. And if you have any ideas, then I'd love to hear those, but we don't have to do that today. I am interested about one thing is, I thought it was great that our first assignment was to simply, create a piece for the other person, and that both of us managed to come up with the same idea, which is I'm going to draw my inspiration directly from what I know about the other person.
Right.
Uh, and then we both got this kind of, personal piece. And then we had to do the second assignment. I have two questions for you.
Yeah.
First one is, which of the two assignments was more difficult? The first one, which is just make a painting, or write a song, or write a song based on these paintings. Which one was more difficult?
For me, the second part was more difficult. Even though I had such a better idea of what I was going to do, like the judgment, because I know I felt the stakes, sort of. I felt that there was not necessarily more writing on it, but I wanted to do it justice because I know how much love you put into those paintings, and how wonderful they look. And I was like, if I make something based on that, it needs to have a certain standard. And to meet that standard, I kept raising it because I wanted to it wanted at least to be near as close as beautiful as the paintings were. So yeah, for me,
Yeah,
that was the hardest.
I totally get that. The same thing was for me. There was a lot more pressure the second time for sure, because the first level went so good as well. I mean, I was just blown away by your composition, and seeing you react to my paintings was so lovely. And now there is something more at stake as well. And also then there's a little bit of a framework, which is, yeah, the music has to guide me, and the title has to guide me as well. And what does that mean to me, and will other people see that? And I found the biggest difficulty wasn't so much about raising the stakes, but getting started. Like, what am I going to do? I had so many different ideas, talking about morning. What does morning mean? And, I can use lots of visual aids as well. You can go online and Pinterest and look up color palettes for, sunrises and dawn for days. And you just go, when it comes to morning and sunrises, there are millions and millions of color combinations. It's not just, a purple, a twilight sky turning into a blue. It's not. I mean, there's reds and there's yellow. I mean, every color you can imagine is involved. So that didn't become any easier. And I just realized, no, I have to think, I'm going to keep it personal. What does morning mean to me? And what does bliss mean to me? And listening to your music, I didn't do what I thought I was going to do, which was let the music choreograph my movements. But I did mix two different techniques together because I wanted to get that 3 feeling, which I talked about, that gentle 3. So it's like, I want something very, very fluid, but I also really love that da 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 da, that syncopated against the grain that we talked about. So it's like, I want to mix another technique in there.
Yeah.
And I posted a video earlier this week, which actually, without giving the painting away, shows that I used 5 cups, and 3 of them were one technique and 2 of them were another. And exactly what I was going for was, the difference between the fluid and the almost jagged, frenetic energy that's totally opposite of that.
Yeah.
Totally came out. I had difficulties as well because at first, I almost knew immediately, like, okay, I know what I'll do. Sacha really liked that last piece. I love that it's still there on the piano, minor major. He really liked that Dutch pour, and he really liked that gold. And I was like, okay, so it's a waltz. It's in 3, so I'm going to do a triptych, which is a 3-panel piece.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use lots of gold in it, and I'm going to blow it out. And then I was like, yeah, but I've done a multi-panel piece now for this project, and I've also done a Dutch pour. And I'm like, am I limiting myself? And luckily, my friend Sevil, who she owns several of my pieces, and I call her my patron. She actually owns 4 pieces, 2 custom, one that she bought from my collection, and then I had a canvas that didn't work out quite right, and she just loved it. So I ended up cutting out a piece of the canvas and putting it on a foam board and making her a piece, and I gave that to her as a gift. But she said, I gotta say something to you. It's like, of all the works of yours I've seen, your big pieces are the ones that impress me the most. When you allow yourself to work on a large canvas, and that made me go, oh, damn you, I'm gonna have to go big, aren't I? Go big or go home. That completely changed my mind. So thank you so much, Sevil, for forcing me to think big. So I ended up doing that as said, and tried to figure out, what does that morning mean to me? And the bliss was, I'm not a morning person in general. But I was like, when do I feel happy in the morning? When are those times that I do feel happy? And then suddenly I was like, I got it. I figured it out. And even the 3 idea was able to come back in. So I was really, really happy with
awesome.
All. Yeah.
Great.
So we'll talk about what's coming after this, but I think now the people are waiting and they're like, we want to hear this sucker, and I cannot wait. I would love to hear Rhapsody.
Right. Okay. So I'll do a short introduction of how I came to the piece. So I started with some improv sessions and just played around, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, that sounds amazing." Well, that was just session 1. And I went on to session 2, session 3, session 4. And I picked little things, basically like the painting as well. There were all these little things. And suddenly I put them together and it started to fit. and I was just so proud of the melody sort of that came from that. Um, then because I actually I only focused on this at first because I wanted that to be that foundation.
That panel, you mean?
This one, yeah, the panel,
Yeah,
the minor major,
yeah.
um, and um, and so once that was done, I was like, okay, now there's three more paintings, and I have a lot more song to do. So what I'm gonna do is spray those pieces of the other paintings um, over the rest. So using different instruments, using yeah, just techniques, obviously, because we have accelerando. Well, I mean, obviously, since that was the first one, I started sort of kind of with that. Um, then there was staccato, which I love, and I had to put some form of staccato in there. So I want you to see if you can see it. I hit it in there, but it's in there. And then the legatos, of course. Well, that's the big thing. Like you have to do that. So yeah, I and then when it was done, literally this morning I finished it. Um, yeah, I mean that was it. Um, and I'm just so excited for you to hear it. And
I am too. It's so funny because I was also thinking about that. Did you? So before I'm again. This is the lottery when they announce the winner of Idols and they keep stretching it out longer and longer. Um, did you, in your mind, when giving a thought, did you think at all about what I was painting? Did you have an imagination ever, like listening to Morning Bliss? Did you like paint in your mind, for example? Did you see anything?
um, a little bit, um, yeah. And I actually
Yeah.
want to know that from you as well. It's like when you were painting Rhapsody, did you have a melody in your mind?
No, it was for me. It's afterwards, and I think there's a little difference because again, I don't know. I don't think of you as a visual artist, as like a painter or a sculptor or a drawer or anything. I don't see you that way, but you know that I'm a musician. So once Rhapsody was done, I was busy with my own challenge, but then I started thinking about Rhapsody as well because number one, I give you something very broad like Rhapsody, but then very specific, as in keys, minor, major, tempo, and style of playing. I was like, okay, but again, you could pick one painting or the whole thing. So it's like I wanted to be free, but also kind of give you some. Uh, so it's so great to hear that you went for that whole experience. But so in my mind as well, I kind of heard that whole thing as a Rhapsody, going, oh, I have this feeling of going from minor to major, and for me, it's like I had this first movement of minor, and then it speeds up and it gets faster and faster, and then suddenly, as we get to this new tempo, we switch to major, and there we get this like happy little staccato, and then I kind of like slow it down again as we go into the legato, and I even had this idea of, oh, in my mind, I think I'm going to go back to minor at the end. So again, but I didn't compose anything, but it's so interesting looking at the piece as a musician. Then you go, oh, what would I do? But oh, I can't wait to hear what you did.
Okay, well, uh,
I've got it ready to go.
ready to go?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
here I go. And I told myself that this time I would have tissues. Oh, so beautiful. Um, I mean, again, it's all interpretation, right? So someone could hear something, but something in your melody with it's it's such a duotonal melody. It's not even really like a melody with a second voice. Those da, 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 it's really almost like and I don't want to belittle it at all. I can't think of a better term for it.
Mhm.
Almost like a chopsticks kind of melody where you go. It's not the melody is really two
Yeah,
notes the entire time.
yeah.
So already this kind of gives me this kind of like separation of black and white world. And as the melody dances along, I kind of follow that flow of that color. The Some of the chord changes are just fantastic, and the place where we switch to major is just so unexpected and so yeah, fantastic. Then we get into that, and so then in the accelerando, you can hear that quite clearly. Then in the middle section, I was really like going. I can't wait to listen to this with headphones. By the
Yeah,
way,
exactly.
I think the staccato is really in the light percussion in the background. I could hear like these little these little sounds, but I wasn't quite sure about it where the staccato was. I couldn't, and maybe I was distracted by not having good sound quality.
Okay, yeah, but you'll hear it in the cello, and there's a bunch of other instruments. There's an electric guitar in there, and um, the percussion, like
Percussion.
the gran casa. Yeah.
Because I
So
could hear something, but I was like, no, I was during, especially in that middle section. But then at the end, boy, yeah, I mean, those, especially the cello at
mhm.
the end, just was like, oh, hello, you need legato?
Yeah,
Hello, I'm
there you
here.
go. Yeah, it's a little on the
That's
nose, but I tried to follow also the lines of the paintings. And what you said was really funny, that duality. That's to me, because when I look at paintings, I don't look at I mean, obviously you look at the whole, but I love the distinction between two colors. So whenever two colors are forming a line, like that to me is the interesting part. Is like which colors are opposite to each other, and especially in the foundation, of course, it really like blooms, and that really has all these kinds of possibilities of which color goes with which on lines. So yeah,
wow, wow, wow. It's also so it's so film score as well, and that's what I love about John Williams and really good film scores is that then you can, if I watch the movie without the music, then I just go, it's not working for me. But when you add the music, then you get the emotion. But then the
yeah,
funny thing is that I can listen to the music without the movie and still capture the emotion.
yeah,
So, I mean, again, it's just the first time, but I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to get that, have the paintings and be able to look at them while listening to it again. Cause now I want to look back into those pieces. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, oh, I cannot wait. Oh, beautiful, beautiful work, Sacha. Fantastic piece. Again, I'm so honored, and yeah, I can see how much work you put into that, and I can definitely see how that um, eh, goes together with Rhapsody. It's yeah, you really you hit it on the you hit the nail on the head. Fantastic, so
Thank you.
beautiful. Well, that's it,
Now,
ladies and
yeah,
gentlemen. We'll see you next time. Thank you so
bye.
much.
All right. No, now I'm looking forward to Morning Bliss.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like I said, you don't have it in your hands this time. So I'm also looking here at the lighting. Last night in the middle of the night, here I am adding some lighting and wondering how it's going to look and going, oh, is it okay on that wall color? For example, I have put sometimes a painting on a wall and go, it's awful because you cannot have that background color with the painting. It's just
Yeah.
too much contrast. This is okay. Um, it's not varnished, and it's not because I didn't have time, but really because of the temperature.
Yeah.
Uh, I need to do this outside, and the weather has been so awful, and it has to be like a minimum of 15 degrees. Otherwise, the varnish just gets so cloudy and ruined. I didn't want to ruin this piece. But luckily, I took a chance with this piece as well. And in the video that I posted earlier in this week, when I talk about the colors, I ordered some new paints. And I ordered some iridescent and some pearly and some what are called melts, and paints that I've never used before. And I decided, like, oh no, I'm going to experiment with these, and maybe it's going to go horribly wrong, because when you use a new paint, sometimes it mixes differently, it blends differently. You have no idea, and I'm so glad I did it, because when a painting dries, it often loses its shine and its glow. But especially these iridescent paints really came out. And when this whole pandemic is over, we'll come over for a little visit. I'll bring Morning Bliss with me, so you can really see how come to life it is.
Yeah.
So the two things I concentrated on really in coming in this, I always talk about it, it's you have color and technique, and then together that makes what's my composition going to be. So think again for what I said, Sevil saying to use a big piece. So this is actually a quite a large canvas. It's 80 by 100, fairly large canvas. And I still wanted to work with that 3 idea. So what was I going to work for the 3? And I decided, oh, I'm going to go tritonal. I'm going to use like 3 colors. Now I used more than 3 colors, but I used definitely 3 families of the same color, basically shades and tints.
Yeah.
So as I said earlier, morning for me, what does morning mean? I'm not a morning person, but when I owned my own house and I had my own garden, and I had, as the Dutch call it, a moestuin, and I was also growing flowers that I was putting into bags. The magic with plants happens during the night. You know, you water them at night, and then in the morning you see like what's happened. And I would get up early, because if things needed more water, you want to do that before the sun starts beating on them, you know, and you don't want your plants to be, you know, wet while that's happening, because they'll burn. So some of my nicest mornings were going out in the morning and looking at my plants and going, look at the dew as it's danced off here. Look at the sky is becoming bluer and bluer, and all of this lovely green around me, all of these plants, and there was little promises of blossoms and stuff, but everything was always green. Whether flowers were coming out or fruits or vegetables, green was everywhere. And as the sun came up, and you got kind of like this yellow in the sky, and you know, people talk about the Nederlandse lucht, you know, when we talk about the painting, the Dutch air,
Dutch sky, you know?
There's something about the Dutch sky, and sometimes I'll just be driving at home at night and just go pull over and take a picture. What is it with this skyline? It's incredible. And when the sun comes out, I'm even noticing it here today. There's just such this lovely gold, and I know that you love the gold as well. So in thinking about this 3, I decided to go for blue, which is like sky and water for me. I went for green, which is all of this vegetation, and I went for yellow and gold, which is the sun and this the gold was also like this happiness as well, and also sometimes the flowers. So gold, green, and blue became the colors. Green becoming, you know, it's all about the plants in the long run. So I wanted to go for like a non-literal interpretation of morning as well. So like I could have done a sunrise, you know, but I didn't want to. So, but even though I didn't do that, there is some sunrise in there, but it's definitely not, it's very abstract. Then I use those 2 techniques. One is a flip cup. So I made 5 cups of paint, and actually all 5 cups are poured the same way. I stack the paints in it. So you put like in some blue, and then some very light blue, and you gently pour that on top so it's not mixing. And then I went to a medium blue, and then like a very light green, and you just stack the colors up in the cups as you go. And then I took these 5 cups, and then I went to the 2 techniques. So the first technique I did, which is a flip cup, which is already one of yours, I took 3 of the cups and looking at the painting horizontally at the top, middle, left, and right, flip, flip, flip. So I had those there and they were ready to go. I let them sit. I poked the holes in them and I drug them down the canvas.
Wow.
And then you get this very fluid, what I was looking about, that idea of the 3, where sometimes the gold comes out stronger, sometimes the green, sometimes the blue. You have no idea.
Yeah.
And then
Depends
I
on
wanted
where
to
you
go.
look.
Yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
yeah.
But then I really wanted this dun 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 dun. So I went for what's called a straight pour, which is, now I took this cup and I pinch a little nozzle in it, and then the 2 strips of empty canvas in between, I poured straight out of the cup the paint from top to bottom, so it's in the same order. But while doing that, I was doing this little zigzag with my hand to force some jaggedness into the painting. And when you look at it, you really kind of like see these wings forming, and as they stretch out, you'll see the difference. And then it was about manipulating the paint and going, where do I want it? So the video that I posted earlier this week, people were like, wait, are you giving the painting away? No, because where the video stops, I continued to manipulate that painting for another 10 minutes after that. And what it ended up is not the last thing the viewer sees. So, okay, so enough preamble. I'm going to switch to my my phone, because then I think I can get a better shot of this. Let me turn myself. Okay, I'm switched to my phone now. This is not the pieces. This is a commission, and this is a Dragonfire piece. I'm taking you over. Welcome to the world of Morning Bliss. As the light hits it, you'll start seeing that the gold changes and reveals itself.
Wow, it becomes more red.
Yeah, I've used a yellow, and I used a light gold and a deep gold in here to get different effects. And as you move the angle and come closer to the piece, I mean, look how that gold just shimmers. You'll see it in the blue as well.
Wow.
That iridescent paint, it's just so shiny.
So beautiful.
So thank you. You can see the difference now. So like the flip cups, you get these spirals in these beautiful areas, but those pours that I were talking about, so this is your general 1, 2, 3 waltz, but here you've got dun, 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 dun.
First thing I saw, it's so beautiful.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
So both of those ideas that were so important to me came in. For the rest, it's very abstract. The funny thing is, when I poured it, this is upside down in a way, but this is the way I see the piece. But when I originally poured it, I had the blue at the bottom as like a water, green in the middle is the earth, and yellow and gold in like the sky as a sunrise. And I knew it wouldn't come out that way. I know it would move, but when you see this painting upside down, then it just didn't work.
Yeah.
And I kept moving it. When I got to this, I was like, oh, this is morning bliss. The morning is what I feel, and the bliss is the emotion.
I see it completely. Like what I see is, it's sort of like a being that's looking at the piece of music, that's sort of trying to hold it close because it's there, but it's fading. Sort of the music is fading through it because it's about the sort of the experience that it's having, and it's this embrace sort of it. It's beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, I can't. This is one, when this whole pandemic's over, it'll be like a baby visit. I'll come over and I'll bring morning bliss over to meet his surrogate, and you'll get to see it for real.
You might not be able to take it back then. Just saying.
We were talking about monetizing earlier, Sacha. This piece will sell, I'm afraid to tell you.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I'd give you a huge discount, but this piece is going to make us money.
Yeah. Your camera is flipped upside down, or on the side. Yeah. No. Sorry. Yeah. There we go. That's better.
So for everyone watching, thank you so much for joining us on the journey. I'm actually excited to listen to Rhapsody again. We have two more things coming up for you. Number one is Rhapsody will be released on Spotify very soon. We'll let you know what that date is, and then we want to make sure that everyone who's following Sacha, but also all my fans as well who are on my page, go to Spotify. Download it, like it, all that. So where will it all be available, Sacha?
So it'll be on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, anywhere, and it'll be called Piano Pour, the album sort of, but we're gonna release it one by one. So I believe we're first going to release Morning Bliss, and then we're going to release the Rhapsody. I'm very excited, but so we're still figuring out the dates at this moment. So I can't.
Yeah, because we don't. Yeah, because we don't have. Yeah, we don't have. We don't have art to match that in a way. Strangely enough, right?
Not yet. Yeah. So we're just waiting on the artwork. Well, since now I literally saw it for the first time. Yeah, I. Now I'll be able to see the artwork and put it with Morning Bliss. So that's very exciting.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I'm confused. Of course. So yeah, Rhapsody has its own music, and Morning Bliss has its own music.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course. So we'll be releasing those two pieces. I'm also gonna, on my site, then I will release a video, which is I'm going to put this against a white background with photographic lighting, and I will do a kind of like a tour of the painting, which is just a video pan close up where people can see the whole details of Morning Bliss while Morning Bliss is painting.
Right.
Also some shots from different angles. So for you, it's basically on the music platforms. It's about the music, and the painting is kind of the cover art of the album. And then I'll make sure on www.imjustapoorboy.nl you can actually see this piece up close from different angles, and the soundtrack of that will be Morning Bliss.
Amazing. I can't wait.
And then I still, like I said, I was so excited. I did not take pictures of Rhapsody. So when I get those again, I will photograph them, and I'll also do the same thing, that they get the final production that they deserve as well.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you so much, Sacha.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, I really enjoyed this, and Morning Bliss turned out so much better than I could imagine. It's so beautiful. Like
thank you. Rhapsody's just gorgeous. I'm honored.
Awesome. All right.
So anyone watching this, if you're a composer or you're a painter, we're both busy people, but we definitely find time to collaborate and be inspired. Let us know. Keep all of our Instagram and Facebook and social media. Keep looking up for the hashtag Piano Pour Challenge, because, as I said, we'll have at least 2 more videos. Thanks for watching. My name is Michael Diederich.
And I'm Sacha Hoedemaker.
And thank you guys so much for joining us.
Bye-bye.